It's Dave, it's Duncan, back from Metal Epidemic for another album review.
People like see when foreign people say Scottish accent is so sexy. Those people are like one of two camps. One, they've never watched any Scottish porn.
Yeah.
Least sexiest thing in the world. And two, it like do you know when like Joey and Friends is like that. How you doing? You're like, oh, that's a wee bit sultry. And Dave's like, oh yeah, like that. Two different things. Like one makes you moist, the other one dries you up quick.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
I'll leave it to you to work out which one.
I thought her accent was fairly obvious. However, the guys from King Parrot, we posted a review on about the new King Parrot album this week. They did not get that at all. They were posting about we were from Ireland.
You know what? I'm knocking a point off that review there. How dare you?
I mean, what the hell, guys? We even spoke about the Glasgow show in the review. Anyway, we are back anyway to discuss the brand new album.
King Parrot, you're drunk.
Let's talk about another King Duncan from Australia.
Let's go back to Australia.
Yeah, Australian as well, fuck's sake.
Yeah.
We are here to talk about the new album from Australian rock band King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. The band's new album, Phantom Island, will be released on June 13th, along with every other album in the world via Epidemic Records. What is going on the 13th of June? What is that like?
It's Friday the 13th. It's the only Friday the 13th we get this year.
Every album is out on the 13th of June. Anyway, if you'd worried that 15 years and 26 albums into their epic quest, polymorphous psychedelic voyagers King Wizard and the Lizard Wizard might be running out of new frontiers to traverse, new concepts to explore, new ways to radically reshape the paradigm, then let their latest opus set your mind to rest. For on Phantom Island, the 27th entry in the Gizzard discography.
How many years? 15, you said? 15.
15 years.
15 years, 27. I'm just going to call it, they're slacking. Come on, guys, put a bit of effort in it.
Our intrepid heroes add a new dimension to their ever-evolving songcraft, embracing the symphonic and embroidering the tangles of lysergic riff and melody with strings and horns and woodwind. Sometimes you've just got to know when to be opened to the universe, says Gizzard guitarist vocalist Stu McKenzie, referring to the role serendipity played in shaping Phantom Island. The roots of the album can be traced back to the group's already legendary show at the Hollywood Bowl in June 2023. The hallowed venue is the home turf of the Los Angeles Philharmonic and the Jizz. They call it Jizz or the Giz? The Giz.
Giz.
The Giz.
No, Jizz is a different word than it begins with a G. Right. What happened to you?
The Giz.
Are you currently like... Are you like a forced absence?
Maybe the Bud Line, I don't know.
I got like every review has got seedier and seedier. Like, you should rein it in just a little bit because there may be children watching.
The Giz met some members of the orchestra backstage after the show. They said you should be part of the annual LA Philharmonic series where we play alongside rock and pop bands. We could back you while you play a Giz concert. And that got the gears ticking. The seed had been sown. Fast forward to 2024 and the Giz are hunkered down in their clubhouse, plugged into tiny practice amps and chugling to their heart's content.
Chugling.
Great word. The result of these sessions yield that year's ARIA-nominated Flight B741, 10 joyous tracks of jammy, feel-good rock and roll that pair the group's usual high-concept approach in favour of bone-simple and utterly satisfying down-home songcraft. But these sessions yielded 10 further songs that didn't quite fit the Flight B741 vibe, and which McKenzie...
You try to tell me right now that this album's this old thing?
Yeah, it is, Duncan. These songs were harder to finish, and musically they needed a little more time and space and thought. We wanted orchestral arrangements to recontextualise these songs. Mackenzie reached out to his dear friend Chad Kelly, a British historical keyboardist, conductor and arranger who now lives in Australia. His worlds are usually European opera houses, symphony orchestras and music from hundreds of years ago, Mackenzie says. He brings this wealth of musical awareness to his chameleon-like arrangements. Kelly absolutely came through, and soon the band were in the studio with the musicians he'd assembled, listening on headphones as they gilded and enhanced the tracks with Kelly's score. We didn't know we were going to have an orchestra dubbed on top of what we were recording, Mackenzie says. If we had, that would have really changed the songs, but we went into it very free and easy. The songs were written in a very improv way, stitched together from multiple takes or longer jams. Making orchestral elements and the loose rock and roll core recordings gel was a challenge, but absolutely the sort of Gizzard relish. Oh, Gizzard relish. Lovely. This album is an unalloyed triumph, but the Gizzard boys are letting this go to their heads. I feel like an imposter doing this stuff, Mackenzie admits. I'm good in my little space with my microphones and my gizzards around me, but doing the orchestral arrangements, that was insane. But it was also super exciting. I'm absolutely here for it. I'll just keep pretending I know what I'm doing. The new album was produced by Stu Mackenzie. So, album 27, it sounds like a joke, from King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. What the fuck? Duncan,
in fairness, they did release 5 in a year.
Yeah, they did.
Right? So let's not get ahead of ourselves here. I kind of feel like...
How did we get here, Duncan? Have we become the internet's busiest music nerds? Like, have we gone full Fantano here?
No,
like,
you never go full Fantano.
Do I just shave my beard and leave my mustache? What are we doing here? Like,
I would explain some of our intros. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you actually highlighted this band in this release coming out on June 13th, and I was like, all right, okay, let's investigate further. And it managed to acquire a copy of the album from the band's PR, and here we are, about to check out or talk about the 27th album from King Gizzard. What was your experience with this band? Had you heard much before, or how did you come to find this band?
Yeah, so this is like from a podcast like 2 years ago, right. When we were doing What have you been listening to? They had the Petro-Draconic Apocalypse, or the Dawn of the Eternal Night with lots of words or whatever. And I remember like talking about then saying like that. This is a like retro doomy sludge metal album from an Australian band I've heard nothing about before. Who appear to have a pretty ominous back catalogue. Yeah. And they've never done a sludge album before, which that was a confusing oddity. And I really liked this. And then at that point, they slipped out like it was a what? Because I just assumed that they were doing the poppy thing, you know, where like that, I'm going to be a metal band. And that's kind of what I thought. And the Apple Music, other suppliers are available out there. It knows when you've listened to someone. So when someone, like an artist you've listened to before releases a new single or whatever, it kind of gives you a wee poke.
Oh,
hello. And it was Phantom Island when they released that single. It was kind of like, here, go. And the album artwork was curious enough for me to check it out, because it looked kind of avant-garde and kind of proggy, and I was like that. Oh, I wonder if they've released a prog album, which they haven't. Kind of have though, but they certainly have not. But at the same time, they kind of have, right? So I listened to Phantom Island, and I ended up like Night Fever, kind of disco dancing all about my house, and that's what led us to here. I think last week I said to you, have you listened to the new King Gizzard single? You were like, no. We both listened to it together, and I was like that. We would try and review this, even though it's not the usual stuff we would do. And then Dave, doing the most humble of all flexes, within 4 hours, had a copy of the album, because that's how Dave rolls, assholes. So that's how we ended up here. Right. That's the long story of how we are as two guys that have just reviewed one of the dankest, bleakest things you'll hear this year. About to chat about Phantom Island by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Yeah.
Okay. So what did you think? We heard one single. What about the rest of the album? What did you make it?
This is fucking great. Right. So I love myself, Dave. But no, I love how dexterous my musical background is, right? Oh. So, yeah, I mean, I really do. Like, I grew up in a relatively eclectic listening household
Yeah.
with everything from, I've said it before, everything from like Motown to New Romantics to rock, pop, and stuff that's existed in between. So I got an education in music at a young age from a listening point of view, and I didn't start playing music until my teens, but I had a rich tapestry of music that I could call on. But one of my big passions has always been soundtracks. I love soundtracks, and if you like music soundtracks and you like movies from the eras that I like movies, they tend to be like kind of psychedelic, funky little numbers with orchestration all the way through the back. So, like, to me, when I had heard Phantom Island, I was locked in. I thought, this is exactly what I want. This is like fucking great. Can they do it for a whole album, or are they tickling my taint with a feather right now? Let's find out. This album commits to the bit, right? And I love that about it, right? Like, when you listen to this, it doesn't sound like a band moonlighting in a genre, which, to be honest, is the Gizzard thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever listened to, and I've not done the 27, but I've now listened to 6 different versions of the band's sound.
Yeah.
Everything from sludge to like proper rock to alternative to full on electronic, like full on synth based music. And the thing that I always come away from the listening experience is how I just think that's their sound.
Yeah.
Like, it's not someone regardless what humble words are used in that PR statement. There's a reason I don't read the PR, folks. One, it blows my mind that this is kind of patchwork put together from bits of like, because it does not sound like that. 2, the fact this wasn't deliberately written with orchestration in mind blows my fucking mind. Because this sounds like a full-on let's lock ourselves. Metallica had that S&M album, which granted was utter shit, right? But that took time.
Yeah.
Like, they were locked away with the Philharmonic. Let's fucking get this done, and let's make sure that this will like. And all those songs had been written for a while, and the one that wasn't written for a while wasn't good, right? You listen to this, and it just sounds. It sounds perfect. Musically, this is absolutely mind-blowing. Like, on every instrument, they nail the brief. Like, to me, if you said to me, oh, there's been a remaster of this fucking obscure quasi-60s, 70s album, which has been, like, put through AI and the latest technology to clean up and make it sound like it was recorded last year and played it for me, I would 100% believe that. Like, even these vocals, like the vocal styling and cadence, the choice of melody is of the era. There's a bit on Phantom Island as well where he slips into almost kind of quasi David Bowie.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Performance out of nowhere over the bit where I'm sure I've heard that Bowie song. like leans in a way where it just sparks a little bit of interest. It takes you on a little bit of an extra journey here. This album is the sort of album that continues to let you look further up the skirt. The more listens you go, if you know what I mean. Like, first time you get through this, you're at knee level. By about the 6th listen, you've got gush in your face. It carefully crafts the listening experience. And the other thing about it, before I get to songs, is it's interesting how your favorite songs will change depending on your mood, right? So I've listened to this album tired. I've listened to this album super energetic. I've listened to this album on the wind down. And I'm just like, I want to like de-stress on that. And weirdly, the album's songs have catered to those listens in interesting ways, where I've gravitated to more a cluster of songs than others. Because it starts off all hot and heavy. The middle section really is kind of designed really around feeling ballad. Really fucking well done, where they're mixing everything from like kind of late 60s psychedelica to almost Eagles inspired guitar licks. If you listen to Aerodynamic, like
Yeah.
there's like with the slide guitars and like all the stuff in there, it could be a Forgotten Eagles song
Yeah.
you just didn't know about. And the album, like it carefully does that in terms of, we use the cliche word of journey a lot in terms of listening. This is a journey album, not conceptually, but musically, in that it kind of it adds a new element or twists a theme and then hands off to the next song, which then picks up that and then continues the journey through. Across every instrument here, I was floored. I think the orchestration is subtle, clever, and when it needs to be punchy, proper. Like, it doesn't overshadow any of the guitar work here at all, even though the horns, which is a powerful instrument, like manage to somehow just sit comfortably behind the guitar work, the drums, and the vocals. The melodies are, like every song, earworm. I'm going to be singing this next week, I'm going to be singing this next month. And the quirk is there. I struggle to understand how they think, right, if you look at the process, that kind of feels like you're faking it until you make it, but I also kind of feel like that's how great a musician you are and the team that you have around you, where it wasn't by accident you picked that person to pick an ensemble. You picked that because you knew he had a pedigree and he could bring that thing in. That's like bands, the best bands are the bands that know who should be on their album, who shouldn't be on their album, who needs to be who doesn't. It's like very impressive, like just incredibly, it's dauntingly impressive, considering they're 15 years into their career and they've never really re-replicated a sound.
Yeah.
Also desperately makes me want to see them live. What does a set look like? Like, are you getting Kraftwerk's followed up by ZZ Top? Like, I don't know. I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah.
I know the last time they were in Scotland, they played the Usher Hall, which I think, maybe speaks to the presence of the band on stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I lean into moments that really kind of captured my attention, kind of stole my heart a little bit, the opening track, Phantom Island, is just fucking picture perfect opener, gives you all the hints of what might come up, without giving away all the secrets to the album. Dead Stick is a great follow-up on that one, kind of continues that kind of 70s, like almost car chase. It could be like from a 70s, it could be the French Connection if it wanted to. Lonely Cosmos and Eternal Run bring things down. Panpsyche is fucking awesome, awash with flutes, because flutes are cool. Aerodynamic has everything from the Beatles, has a little bit, has the aforementioned ZZ Top, as the Eagles. It's fucking nuts. I also love the way the album closes out. Silent Spirit is a fucking awesome track, in terms of just like leaning right into a kind of Bowie-esque sort of kind of rock banger. And then the closing track, Grow Wings and Fly, is just like a wonderful, but it could be the closing credit. It'd be the opening to a 70s movie where our hero's like, he's in a cafe, he's getting a cup of coffee, he's saying goodbye to the missus, he's walking across, he's getting in the car, he's driving to work, credits are all yellow, they're moving across the place, there's shots of people it's soundtrack music, it's fucking incredible, and it never puts a foot wrong. And then to single honour that as well, the production is does it get better than this? Probably not. I was floored by this. I actually think it's an incredible, like, just, it's so fucking good. Selfishly, I just want them to keep releasing music in this genre, but they're not going to do that. Yeah, this is, it's kind of about as good as it gets for what it is. There's not a second I would improve on this at all. Like even a note at all. I could, my critical notes to the band would be blank sheet of paper. Like, yeah, it delivered more than I thought it was gonna from the two singles that had been released before, and I keep coming back to it because it fits every mood. You're famously not a soundtrack guy.
Nope.
You're also not, like, when I think of eras of music, if we're talking 60s and 70s, I don't think this music with you. I think more about like American funk, or like the stuff that starts to lean into like the kind of birth of R&B, and I think Parliament. I think James Brown. I think Stevie Wonder, although there is Stevie Wonder in this. I think Stevie Wonder. I don't necessarily think with you the Eagles, the Beatles.
I hate the Beatles.
Yeah, I don't like the Beatles either, right? I'd like to just get that out there.
Hate's a strong word. I think they're overrated.
I think they're incredibly overrated. I think they have one excellent album, and everything else is the epitome of one or two singles that are probably right for being as big as they are, but the rest of the albums, not so much. I could not be more curious, because I kind of hoisted this upon you in a week which was already very fucking busy for reviews, and it's been released on the busiest day for us as a reviewing duo. We're doing 6 reviews tonight to put people in perspective. I can only hope you had as much fun as I did with this. How'd you get on with King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard?
Well, as you've said, I had never really listened to King Gizzard before.
How much of the back catalogue did you? Because you're more. I've done 6 albums, including this, right? You're usually more. You said you did a power of listening, so I don't want to know how many albums you went through. Did you a sizable chunk?
Yeah, I mean, I when we're reviewing stuff, I might tend to do like a bit of a deep dive, and check out like the back catalogue of a band. I will say I did not check out the full back catalogue of this band, because there are fucking 26 albums.
It's also hard to judge. They're kind of clever this way. It's hard to judge one album against another album when colossally it's a completely different genre. Completely,
yeah. They all sound different. Like there's connective tissue, but they don't all sound like the same genre. But I did have a blast of some of them. Not all of them, but some of them are wildly different. The last album I did listen to in full, Flight B741, which was apparently that was the band's kind of return to a kind of more like bluesy rock and roll kind of boogie sound. There's definite like connective tissue between that one and this one, which makes sense because most of the tracks were written at the same time as that album, but as I said, they didn't quite fit. And the concept of this, is exploring themes of a plane crash and the resulting hallucinations and descent into madness.
Someone drank from a coconut which was spiked with the Allman Brothers. Now we can only play guitar like this.
So quite a listening experience, going back and checking out all the different releases. Sometimes I just listen to like 3 or 4 tracks of an album just to get a feel for it, but it's all over the place stylistically. To be honest though, the thing that was in the back of my mind the whole time listening to this album was, how are these guys in their 30s? How is that fucking
like the
possible?
young band, like clearly like bred to make music. You know what I mean?
If someone played this for me and said, this is a band for the 70s, these guys are now in their 60s or 70s or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, that's what this sounds like. This sounds like, like
sounds an old like band. Someone that grew up in that era.
Yeah, for sure.
Not someone that was inspired to write music of that era.
Yeah, it makes no fucking sense. But this album, as we've said, I know this is their first kind of venture into working with an orchestra and incorporating those elements into their sound. But my God, does this fit? Like, this sounds like it was just meant to be. Like, it's fantastic, and such a feel good. Like, straight away, this album has just got you in a really good mood. And I was like just instantly hit with waves of nostalgia. Like, I mean, it's worse. This is not a heavy album, so like.
No, like I'm wearing a Poison Ruin t-shirt, and that feels like I'm dressed inappropriately for this review.
Don't expect big riffs and thundering drums. Like,
Dave's not going to talk about polyrhythms here, right?
No. But if you're in the mood for an album that will take you down memory lane, into the 70s and 80s with this kind of like sunshine glow to it, then you're in for a treat. Like, this reminded me of so many things. Like, I can't even like describe the For Fans Of section of this review is going to be fucking
just huge,
stacked, right? So many bands.
We just saw that Nick Cage movie, The Surfer. This could have been the soundtrack to that entire fucking movie.
It could have. Yeah, so lots and lots of bands. One that kind of came up more than most of the others. And weirdly now I'm thinking about the band name kind of makes sense here, but considering King Gizzard's recent adoration of all things orchestral, but Electric Light Orchestra was one of the bands that kind of kept coming up for me. And that's a band I really like. My father-in-law kind of got me into them. I'd never really listened to them before, but he always went on about them. And then like over the last kind of 10 years, I've been like really, really into that band. But this had a lot of that kind of like if you think about the kind of the boppy kind of Don't Bring Me Down, kind of that kind of jive, you know, big lush harmonies. ELO are also very big on like strings, which this album is also like soaked in, along with an amazing brass section. And like the big hitters of this album are very much like on that train. The what I'd class as the kind of singles from this album are bangers. Like the hooks are unbelievable. Tracks like Dead Stick like have you singing along like pretty much instantly. And like vocally on that track I was getting like a little bit of like kind of Mark Bolan of T-Rex, but like it's a King Gizzard album, so the vocals are produced en masse. Like it's there's 6 members of the band like passing the microphone between them throughout this album, so the vocal tones and styles will change like really like often from track to track really, but I feel that's like a really big plus on this album because vocally it never gets boring. Like you'll hear little influences on different tracks from different members of the band. The vocal ranges are also very different. Ambrose Kenny Smith, one of the vocalists, in particular, he has a very like high register. I actually thought it was a female at first. I was like, oh wait, what the fuck? But it's not. Incredible range, and the composition and the arrangement of the vocal layers and harmonies on this album are so well done. Like sounds like a very, very mature band, like a band that have been doing this for decades and decades. Then there are tracks that are still like catchy and still very cohesive, but are a little bit more explorative musically, and that's when they start to pull in like elements of like prog or psychedelic elements. You get a bit of that on Lonely Cosmos, which is slightly less brass and more strings. I think it's like a kind of violin that maybe takes the lead on that track, and like again sounds unreal. Chad Kelly's orchestral arrangements on this are fantastic, and I love that they've went all in on it. Like
you don't half-ass this.
No, the brass and the strings and the woodwind, they're not there as a background scenery. They are like an integral part of this album, often leading the way on the way a track plays out. Eternal Return, like it continues on that kind of like spacey, kind of psychedelic journey, giving you these really like funky verses, which like if you add funk to an album, I'm pretty much sold, to be honest.
Dave's
like,
in.
As you said, I grew up on soul and funk music, so where those little bits where like the brass goes for a bit of a walk, or like the guitars start hitting like funky chords, or you add some like, you know, some sax and stuff like that, I'm 100% in. Pants Like also has that kind of like funky tempo and rhythm.
So good, man.
Such a vibe. And that track probably reminded me most of the kind of Flight B741 material. It's very kind of optimistic and upbeat. The vocal melodies have got that nice kind of sugary kind of tone to them. Drums are grooving, like great guitar licks, and it really sets up Spacek perfectly, like which leans heavier into that kind of almost kind of dreamier soundscapes. It's a little bit more somber. You know, we've got a bit of, I think there's a French horn they've got on there, which kind of really elevates that. But also it has like moments, you know, that are very bright as well. The chorus is nice and huge in atmosphere. One of my favorites on the album though was Aerodynamic.
Such a good,
really good. The combination of the brass and the woodwind is just unbelievable. That kind of like, it's got like a kind of 70s kind of soft rock, but like this kind of dream pop and like almost kind of prog kind of undercurrent. There's a little bit of like Steely Dan in there, or there's a bit where it goes a bit more kind of kind of rock and roll. You get like a hint of like the Rolling Stones or the Small Faces coming through, and again like big killer chorus, and the way they integrate those strings is just like a really clever way to make the tracks just sound so much more grand and really like full of warmth. It would be very easy for me to go through like track by track here and reference the influences and the styles, but to be honest, you're better just listening to this and experiencing that for yourself, and you'll pick those out like no problem. It's just a very well put together album. Like, and as I said, if you told me this was written and recorded 40 years ago, I would have 100% believed you. King Gizzard have somehow managed to capture that era of music with all its character, but also like interwoven their own unique personality into this as well. Like you can also tell this is a King Gizzard album, no doubt. Like the musicianship is nuts. Like these guys are crazy talented, vocally so well executed. The hooks are great. The harmonies are as good as bands like the Eagles and the Beach Boys or the Doobie Brothers. Like unreal. The orchestral stuff is a stroke of genius, really. Like this is the perfect match for this band. The strings are so good, like just really majestic sounding, and like you're adding little flourishes of sax in there or trombone or French horn. Like it's got everything really. And like you said, the production of the album is stellar. Like it reminds me of the sounds of the 70s. Like they must have some sort of fucking time machine, because how they recorded this.
That's how I thought you were, like, when you started reading the press statement, you were like that. This idea came, and I thought you were about to say, when they found a DeLorean.
It sounds like they have. Like, this is nuts how they made this sound like that in 2025. I don't think that's an easy thing to do. I think a lot of bands try and do that, and they fail, like, to replicate that period of time.
The closest I can think of something I've listened to recently that really, remember that Silk Sonic album?
Yeah.
And I was listening, I was like, oh my god, like within the first 3 minutes, I was wearing flares. For some reason, I had an afro. Like, I just like it transported me right back. Few albums can get that. It's usually it's like a filter that's on there without sounding authentic, and this is about as authentic as it gets. So.
Yeah, I mean, like, Stu's done a tremendous job on the production here. Like, it just fits like a glove. Absolutely fits like a glove. I mean, criticism-wise, I don't have much to kind of add. I don't think it's a perfect album for me. There are a couple of tracks here that maybe for my taste maybe went a little bit too experimental, like the psychedelic and prog kind of elements took the tracks into places that maybe just kind of lost my attention a little bit.
There's no organ music in your house growing up. I can tell. That's why you hate it.
No, that and the flute can get to fuck. But I mean, it's a very small gripe, but it was a couple of tracks where I was just like, okay, like, I don't love this as much as some of the other stuff on the album. It's hard to say. Is this their best album? I have no idea, because the fucking 26 previous albums.
Like, we're like reviewing 6 albums this week. Who's the type to go through 26 other albums? We don't. We can't.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you, but I mean, I imagine it'll be up there based on the quality of this.
Oh, this is where the audience comes in, like, super helpful for us, like, as two guys who are like pressed for time. Where does this sit in the pantheon of King Gizzard albums?
Yeah.
And also, what albums are absolute must? And you can't say all 26. What albums are absolute must checkouts that might be blind spots for us that, off the back of what we've said, we would totally get and appreciate? Let us know. Comments.
Yeah. Like, we're going to go to scores in a second, but like, I get the feeling that this band probably don't really care if they get like huge success from this.
No.
Like, they sound like a band that do this for the love of creating music. Like, they obviously love what they do and are just like excited to make music regardless of style or whatever. They've also created a back catalogue that basically means they can do whatever the fuck they want.
They can play on almost any tour. Like any band. Any band.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
That's incredible. Like, the freedom there they've got, just like, next album, you could do whatever we want. A jazz album next, whatever. Like, it's up to them. Okay, so King Gizzard, the new album. What are you scoring the new King Gizzard album?
I did not know I would change. I think this is the perfect album.
Wow.
For what it is, I will put the caveat, do not expect this in my top 20 at the end of the year, because genre-wise, I would really struggle to put in my top 20 metal albums of 2025. But yeah, to me, it's a flawless album. I absolutely adore it. It's 5.
Yeah, nice one. I'm like marginally behind you, 4.5 from me. I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. It really impressed me in a lot of ways. Like, and they're now a band that I will now be keeping a keen eye on.
100%, whatever's coming next, we're there. We're there, man.
For sure. And yeah, like yourself, I would really like to see how this plays out live, what they would actually put in a set list.
Well, that's getting added to the bucket list, right? So when they're over next, we'll go and see them.
Yeah, for sure. So Phantom Island by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard out on June 13th on the P-Doom. Links below to the band, the pre-order and stuff. Check it out, have a listen, see what you think. It's on Bandcamp, so have a wee listen to some of the singles, see what you make of it. Happy to hear your thoughts and opinions. Let us know, what should we check out from King Gizzard's back catalogue? What are the highlights? That is the review. Thanks for checking out, much appreciated. We'll be back with another review very soon, but until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye everyone.
I wake with a wretch till the smell